Yeah, but that's
Hey everybody, we're online. We're live now on YouTube. Welcome to the Travel News Report, and we already have a few viewers. Hey Matt from the last show, glad to see you. My name is Brad, and I am with Let's Go Road Trippin', and I do have a couple guests. We'll get to them in just a moment. Really quick, what this whole show is about. This whole show is mostly about travel. We want to give you a little bit of the travel news, and we always have travel professionals on the show, so you can get some inside information on how to travel nationally, domestically, and just basically all kinds of different stuff. We'll even give you some stories. There are usually a couple of tour managers once or twice on here. I know I've been a tour manager. I still am a tour manager, and we also run a tour operation company. And the two guest hosts I have also do tours.
right.
They do both. Oh, they're talking again. See how they do that?
My bad. I apologize.
So if you need to comment on the video, you can go ahead and comment on YouTube, and you can comment in Twitter with the hashtag TNR Live, as you can see right down here in my lower thirds. You can comment on the Google Hangout. That's how you can get a hold of us. And if you like the channel and you want to subscribe to our channel, that'd be fantastic. Just click that subscribe button. And without further ado, I'll tell you really quick how I met these two people. I was on Facebook asking for people to join me on my little adventure here, and they voluntarily said they would do it. So I got to meet them, and I met them a little bit on our dry run a couple days ago. So Dante, Lorna, introduce yourselves.
Hi. Wait, did it come over to
Yes,
us?
yes. Say hello.
Hello, how are you doing? I'm Lorna.
And I'm Dante. We're
And this is
married, by the
50.
way.
Can't make my hand right. This is 50.
50's a little mascot that travels with us on all the tours we do. And, well, basically, like I was saying, 50 travels with me overseas. And when you're doing tours here in America, she stays with her. And what's the story of 50? It's called 50 because it cost 50 euros. When we were dating about 7 to 8 years ago,
8 years ago.
I know the date exactly. 8 years ago, I wanted to impress her, and there was these. It was Christmas time, and in Piazza Navona in Rome, they have these little kiosks, and there's a shooting game with the little
Bullets.
BB guns. Of course, I was trying to aim for the Nintendo, but I didn't know that each little bullet was 10 cents. So I was just enjoying my night. And when the guy told me it's 50 euros and I had no prize still, I looked at him and I told him in Italian, well, you better give me something because, you know, I have my lady here. And he gave me this, which is that.
50.
And we're going to call him 50 because
He costs 50 euros.
in America he's called 75 or $80, depending on.
It all depends on what the exchange rate is at the time, right?
Right.
Yeah. And 50s right now, we put a background there. This is where we live half the year. We live in the city of VaFeltre. We're both tour guides, like we said, and it's very flexible for us because I like to stay with my family in Italy half the year, and the same for her. When we're here in Washington, D.C., we
Get to see our family as well.
and we work a lot when we're here. When we're in Italy, it's actually more relaxing because tours in Italy are not really that much work. At least for us, it's more of a family tour. But life is good.
Awesome. So you guys do your DC licensed guides. Not only that, but you are also you run tours and you create tours for what kinds of groups? For what do you do? Tell me.
So over here in the States, we mostly work with the student groups. We have anywhere from 25 to next week I have 256 passengers. So it gets pretty hectic over here in the States. So when we go over to Italy, our focus is on families, small groups, maybe 10, 15 people. We do hiking, we go do wine tastings, we go and meet the farmers who make the cheese. Actually, our passengers even can get involved in that. We go to the Prosecco growing region where they grow the Prosecco grapes to make what is the equivalent of Italian champagne, or actually better. And we do a lot of hiking as well. We have trips for all sorts of hiking levels. So whether you need, you know, flat, smooth ground, or you want to go all the way up into the iron walks, we can do anything for you. Hang gliding, if that's what you're into.
And it's most of the time it's the parents that are on the tours with us here in D.C. that I mean, we've had a lot of groups that the parents, they want to come themselves.
Yeah.
without the kids.
Although we do actually have family-based vacations as well. One of the things about us, especially because we have already met the families, they know that they can leave the kids with us at night, and one of us could maybe take the kids for pizza and do not really babysitting, but keep the kids occupied, and the other one can take the adults out for real food. So it's something that families don't usually get when they're traveling.
Awesome. That was a great introduction to what you guys do and who you guys are. Now I want to talk a little bit about the news, because this is the Travel News Report, and I just want to talk about a couple things. One of the things I did read is about these, you've seen and I know, Lorna and Dante, you've flown enough where you've seen the little winglets or the little edges that they put on all the planes now. All of the airlines are doing that, and I found out why. It's not just to advertise who they are on the end of the wing, but it actually saves companies millions of dollars in fuel. It costs about $1 million to put it onto one plane, which is ridiculous expensive, but you can look at the overall in about a year or two, they will save enough money on that one plane in the fuel costs alone. And even with United, and I know I keep bringing up United, well, it's because I'm in Chicago and they're all over the place, all right? But with United, they've saved, I think, $200 million in the last few years in fuel costs alone. They use about 1% of the fuel in the world, so that's quite a bit.
Wow.
You didn't know that,
I'm impressed.
I was quite impressed with that. Now, if you have any questions on that,
Hopefully they should lower the price on the tickets now.
They should, but they didn't. They're actually, I was talking to the person who does a lot of my travel plans for my touring. She was telling me that right now tickets are really expensive because of all the cancellations that happened in the last few months. The airlines are trying to recoup. So they never bring prices down. And Matt wants to know, if you guys are reading that, he says, they have wine in Italy? And he's got a little smiley.
I believe so.
Well, actually, I think it's kind of funny because we've had people who have come over who don't drink, and Dante's cousin offers them Prosecco, and we say, well, they don't drink alcohol. He goes, but this isn't wine, it's Prosecco. So I guess there's your answer, Matt. We have two things.
There you go. Yeah, Matt's been to Italy. He's been to Europe a few times. You guys know Matt. Oh wait.
I have to get that. Sorry.
Oh, your phone is ringing. Shame on you.
Of all day, because we're waiting for a FedEx package, and it's been all day, but it has to arrive exactly when we're doing this.
Oh yeah, I expect that to happen all the time. Now Matt also is yelling at me for bad mouthing United. I'm not bad mouthing them, Matt. I promise. I love United. I fly them a lot. I've
flown a lot United. I'm not gonna say it's my best choice for an airline, but although this year I flew, last year when we returned in November, we tried Brussels Airlines for the first time, and I thought they were excellent.
Yeah.
They all all the planes are brand new, and it's DC Brussels and then to Venice.
To Venice.
But it was pretty good. But I'm a big guy, unfortunately. Seats are getting smaller by the
minute.
Unfortunately, I still remember when we used to fly 20 years ago. It used to be more classy. Now it feels like a bus with wings.
One of the problems though that we've been seeing is that it's become very hard for us to be brand loyal. People always say, "Oh, you guys fly back and forth every year. You must have 1 million airline miles." And the truth is that for us, it has to be the most economic flight. So, or it has to fall within our days. So we end up flying, 6 different airlines in 1 year, and you don't rack up the mileage that way.
Yeah.
But the thing to look at is what kind of a connection are you getting between the cities. It's not enough to say, oh, great, I found this $600 airfare. You really need to look at, are you traveling 32 hours for what would have been an 8-hour trip? Are you making an overnight connection that doesn't even that doesn't really fit into your budget or your time? Maybe you're flying over to Europe to try to connect with a cruise, and all of a sudden you find out that your plane is overnighting you in some town somewhere and now you're going to be late for your cruise. So it's very important to read the details.
Turkish Airlines has the lowest fares right now because I'm planning to go next month to Italy for a week, and but that's the thing is I'm saving $200-300, but I have to stay overnight in Istanbul, so it's going to take me what would we say 36 hours,
28.
a day and a half just to get to Venice. So you have to decide. I'd rather pay those extra $200 and get there
the next day.
I just got a question here by Matt again. Thank you, Matt, for participating.
Yeah, the Dolomites. Yeah, we are actually.
Actually,
this city.
Move your head. Those are actually wherever they are in the picture. The Dolomites are actually this side. The Dolomites are actually over here in the picture.
Yeah, this is the center, the old historic center where we live in the city of VaFeltre, and we are at the feet of the Dolomites. And I can be at any point. Like in less than 10 minutes, we're already at the first part of the Dolomite. At the entrance of the Dolomite Park.
In fact, the office of the Dolomiti National Park.
It's actually a couple blocks from our house.
Yeah.
So we enjoy, and then every time we go back, we try to do something different. But we pretty much have become kind of experts. And we take. I haven't had any bad tour. They all loved it. It's just beyond beautiful. And every time we discover a new mountain hut or a new place, and that's what we're doing now lately. Instead of going to restaurants over there, we just go to a mountain hut, what we call malga, and you eat a lot more typical food and
very clean,
very clean, and a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Wow, and you were talking about restaurants before we started going, and you were giving a tip about restaurants in Italy. So give that tip again.
With the hotels and a little bit with the restaurants as well, if you're in the main cities, if you're in Rome or Milan or Florence, you're pretty much okay on a daily basis. But if you want to go and explore Italy, one of the things that you need to be very careful about is that hotels and restaurants sometimes will not take same-day reservations. So if you want to kind of go spur of the moment, you get that, itch to go backpacking, then you can't necessarily expect to knock on the door of an inn and have them take you in that day. Some of them, even if they have availability, they just have it in their mentality that you should have reserved, so it's your fault for not having done so, and they won't take you in. So it's always better to pre-plan at least a day or two in advance, if not before you even get on the plane. Pre-plan your trip, have an idea of where you're going. And especially, again, if you're outside of the main cities, you may get to a restaurant that has absolutely phenomenal food, but they only have 40 seats. So you get there and it's full, they have no choice but to turn you away. And it's not
some of these places, and we're talking about the non-touristy places. Some of these restaurants, okay, they have 20 tables. It's not they're going to rotate them. When the 20 tables sit, because the culture in Italy, you go to a restaurant, you sit down, and you pretty much stay there 2 or 3 hours. You enjoy your entire meal. So it's not that you go outside and you wait, like here you do in America, you wait, okay, it's going to be 30 minutes until the next table. No, if the tables are full, I mean, especially in VaFeltre, there's a small city, there's very few restaurants because, again, Italians in small towns, they eat home because why go to a restaurant when you already have the same quality in your house? But in restaurants like in small cities like VaFeltre, you do have to reserve. And we like to do groups, small groups, because most of the restaurants only fit about 20 to 30 people, and once those tables are full, they're full. That's it.
Wow, so that's some awesome information that you need to know that if you're going to go to Italy, and we could probably talk Italy from the sounds of it for I don't know, days and days. But I wanted to talk a little bit about DC because the big student tour season is coming up right now, and if you are an adult and if you're an adult right now and you're not on a student trip and you just want to go to DC right now, my advice is don't.
Wait till September.
Yeah, wait till September.
Yeah, I saw in USA Today they said that the DC's cherry blossom is predicted to peak around April 8th to April 12th. Now I'm going to ask our experts here that live near the area and have been doing DC tours for several years now. What, 10?
10. Yeah, I went to ITMI, the same school that you did, back in 2004, and I brought Dante home in 2007. So he switched from strictly Italian tours to international tours in
I
2007.
saw that I brought Dante. I didn't know. But
oh,
yeah,
I heard that. I heard
the
that.
cherry blossoms. They have you will have a better experience on Google Images.
Yeah,
All I
I'm
would
trying to
say,
get through the city.
it's a beautiful experience to see the cherry blossoms because it's very beautiful. Don't drive, walk, because the problem what people do here, we already have about thousands of buses full of students trying to go, and people are driving, and they even on TV and the news they say use the metro or do any other thing but drive. Unfortunately, nobody pays attention, and when you come to DC, it's completely. The first time she took me, I remember 2007. I wanted to drive. She told me no, let's go by metro. But I said I wanted to use the car because it was,
And at the time, we lived 8 miles from the White House.
And we were in the car, like about once we got to Independence Avenue, we were stuck there for about 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then I told her to just turn around.
It took us 3.5 hours to drive 8 miles from our house to the White House.
So yeah, it is a beautiful thing. I'm not saying don't come to DC. I'm just saying just prepare to walk. It's a beautiful walk. April's going to be beautiful weather, so just come walking.
If you do have somebody in your group who's mobility challenged, the DC Circulator still runs through the National Mall. They're talking about changing the prices and schedules, so just check out the DC Circulator. If you Google it, you'll get the information for that. And any of the city tour buses that go around, you can pay for that, and that will drop you off at places. So please, if you have mobility challenged people, don't feel that walking is your only option, but do something to get your car off the road and let somebody else do the driving.
What is the travel time from Venice to VaFeltre? Well, if Lorna lets me drive the way I like, under an hour. But usually it's an hour and a half. It's about 80 kilometers.
Yeah, it's about 80 kilometers.
80 kilometers northwest of Venice. It's a beautiful drive, and you will never take an hour anyways because you stop, you have a coffee,
Yeah.
And you sit down at a restaurant and eat for 3 hours.
Well, our thing when we arrive to Venice, when we go back after a long season in Washington D.C., we have our own osteria in Feltre, where we have we have a friend who owns this bar, and we have our wine and our antipasto, and then we sleep for about 3 months.
And the antipasto, he takes all I can think of is the meat shaver. What do you call it? The blade.
Slicer.
And he's the slicer. There you go. And he'll take 4 or 5 different types of meat for us, slice that off. The cheese, slice that off, and put it on. So anyway,
But going back to cherry blossoms.
Yeah, cherry blossoms. Let's
That's
get
the
back.
problem with Italy. You start talking about Italy, you don't want to stop. Yes. Make sure you get a hotel. Well, not a hotel. When you go to see and experience the cherry blossom, make sure you pack your good bottles of water. Not all the restrooms, I have to admit, are the cleanest ones. We have a lot of people in the city, but I would say Martin Luther King Memorial, which it's an excellent place to go enjoy the whole tidal basin, all the cherry blossom. They have the cleanest restrooms that I've seen on the memorial. So but pack yourself good water and
good
lots
shoes.
of pictures. Good shoes.
No. This is going to be a little self-serving and self-serving for you. My humble opinion, if you're going to go to DC or anywhere for any kind of event like that, it's actually best to hire or go on a tour with a group because then everything's included. You've got a tour manager or a tour guide to take you everywhere, let you know what's going on. You can ask questions. And most tour managers, at least with me, if someone says, hey, I want to go do this, I don't want to go play with the rest of the group, I want to go do something different, that's fine.
Yeah.
And I just feel, my opinion, again, is that I feel that it's easier. You don't have to worry about transportation. You don't have to worry about, okay, did my hotel get overbooked? Am I going to get a room? It's all taken care of.
Yeah. And we constantly, I'm sure you've experienced this as well, whether it's a walking tour in DC, whether it's a multi-day tour, we do East Coast tours, obviously we do the Italian thing. I think one of the good things for us is hearing passengers constantly. It's got to be every tour or at least every other tour that you hear a passenger say, I can't believe how much better this experience is because we have a guide. I would never know these things if I didn't have somebody here telling me the history or the little tidbits or the little secrets about.
Tip your tour guide.
I completely agree with that last part. I was just reading, Matt had two things about public transportation in Venice, VaFeltre, and then he says, because he's a DC guide, he knows DC pretty well, and he's going to have to stop asking about Venice or Italy. But go ahead and answer that Italy question.
How is public transportation from Venice to VaFeltre, Matt asked. We do actually have a bus that goes, or sorry, we do actually have the train that picks up in Mestre, outside of Venice. Sorry.
Excuse me about that.
We do have the bus that picks up in Venice, and it will take you right into VaFeltre. There is a train in VaFeltre.
Yeah, I mean, there's the bus connector from the airport will take you to either Mestre station or right in Piazza Roma in Venice, just like few meters from the train station, and it will take you anywhere you want. Especially VaFeltre will be about a couple of hours at that time. It depends on what time you come.
Now, Matt, of course, being a tour director, you have the pre-known friends benefit of already having us pick you up at the station. That helps you out.
Sorry about the phone.
You'll have to mute your phone or I'll have to hurt you.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to come to Maryland and have to beat you senseless. That's okay. It happens. Go ahead. Were you going to say something?
No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to put myself back on topic.
So the amounts of crowd that we're going to get this season, we see actually more tourists this year than last year.
We both think that tourism has gone up. I remember back at ITMI they said for the first 2 years of your work you're always going to feel like you never had enough work, and then after you hit a certain point, somewhere around your third year, all of a sudden you're going to start giving tours away. And of course you're sitting there in a class thinking I'm never going to give work away, who's kidding, right? And this year we actually did for the first time, or not for the first time, but more than any other year, we feel like we were getting phone calls for the same dates, the same dates, the same dates. And that must be because there are more tourists coming through.
People are realizing that Washington, D.C. has a lot more to offer than what they think. Normally they used to go to New York 5 days and maybe do a one-day trip to D.C., but now we've seen more people trying to spend a day or two in Washington, and they're amazed of how beautiful the city is and how much there is to do.
I think the economy has helped us as well. If you look at, take a family of 4, they don't even necessarily have to be on a tour, but you take a family of 4 and you put the same experience into Boston, into New York, into Washington, D.C., they have to pay for a hotel, they have to pay for transportation, whether they're driving or not. That includes parking. They need to pay for their meals. In all the rest of the cities, they need to pay for entrance fees. And here in Washington, especially if they stay right outside the city in Crystal City, they can save on the hotels versus Boston and New York. What is it? Something probably like 60%, 70% of the activities in the city are free. Our food costs less, certainly, than New York, maybe comparable to Boston. So it's really increased the tourism in the city because you can still have maybe only a 3 or 4 day tour. In the other cities, you can have quality time with your family here in Washington.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about Washington is when you're in that area. I mean, the National Mall. The mall is the best thing. I mean, you can walk around there for days and all the museums, and it's all free. You just walk in. I like there's so much to do, like you said. But we're talking a whole lot about tours. I want to get off and do something a little bit different. Go a different route right now. Real quick, I want to talk about the app that I use to find cheap flights, and we talked about this a little bit beforehand. It's an app on my iPhone. Oh my God, I can't believe I just said that. I would never own an iPhone, but that's personal. I have an Android phone, and I use this app called Skyscanner. And this little app, I'm going to show you as soon as it comes up. My phone is being a little weird today, but you can use this and find comparisons of flights for whatever dates you want. See, there's my Shanghai. I was looking into Shanghai earlier, and that's updating right now. And right now you can get a flight, $761. I mean, that's about as live as you can get. And that's to Shanghai round trip. That's even getting better. You see how this works? This is a great little app, and then you can look and see when on a calendar and say, hey, when's a better time to go? And no, they're not a sponsor, but they show you, like in a little green, they say, hey, here's a better time that you can leave and take the trip, and this is how much it will save you. So that's why I like this little app. Technology to me, I love technology. It's like the best thing on the planet. I used to be a computer programmer and a web developer and all that, so I get right in on that. Now for you guys, we were talking about flights earlier. You did already mention about how you want to watch out where you're going, because there was one of these flights that, hey, it was a great flight. It was, you know, what, I don't remember the price, but it was about $50 cheaper. But it was also about 10 hours longer because the layover in Beijing was like 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And that's insane. I mean, that's nuts. If you want to get to Shanghai, pay the extra $50. Otherwise, you're just going to be walking around Beijing airport bored out of your skull for 12 hours. Or, you know, there's obviously you can leave the airport and do some stuff, but 12 hours isn't enough. Now, some people, what they do is they purposely build in a layover for maybe a day and a half.
Right.
And they'll go and explore the city for that day and a half, and then they'll go on the flight. And I actually saw a tip where if you want to get from whatever to wherever, take a look at how much it is to transfer. Like, let's say I wanted to go to Beijing and not Shanghai, but going to Shanghai through Beijing was actually cheaper. I could just go to take that flight and not take the transfer and never get on the plane to Shanghai. But don't check your luggage, because your luggage is going to end up in Shanghai.
You need to be very careful doing that, though, because we have looked into doing that going to Europe. Let's say that there's a connection to Munich, and then we've talked about getting on the train or getting in the car and driving down. They have told us if we didn't actually take the flight to Italy, we couldn't get back onto our return flight to the States.
Wow.
So make sure that you're checking with your airline before you take that chance.
That's very good information. See, I didn't even know that part. That's very good to know.
Now, at the same time, when I was traveling in Australia, I made friends with a girl who was from Singapore, and my flight was on Singapore Airlines flying through Singapore. She offered me to come and visit, and of course I wasn't going to pass up the offer to go to a new country. So I called up Singapore Airlines. They changed my ticket for free. They said that, I don't know if it's still the policy, but at the time it was free to change your ticket for up to 30 days as long as you were staying in Singapore, and then you could continue along on your trip. So it's just something to check out airline to airline, but definitely it's a great way to save money on traveling.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of little tips that we have that we could again go on for days giving tips, which is kind of what this whole show is about. And real quick, we have about 5 people watching, which I want to tell them, if you'd like to leave a comment or ask a question to either myself or Dante and Lorna, just use the YouTube comments, or you can go on Twitter and leave the hashtag TNRLive and leave us a comment, and we'll answer the question live right now. It does take a minute because we're about a 30-second to 60-second delay from when we speak till you hear it, and then it's about 30 to 60 seconds from when you type to see it. So there is a little bit of a delay, so be patient with us. There's no need to go crazy. And Matt says he did check out your website and he really likes it.
Thank you. Please share it. Friend us.
Matt's my buddy, can you tell?
Definitely.
So are there any apps or anything that you guys use, or are you just playing with the Skyscanner?
I like BookingBuddy.com because it lets you put in your information and then you can search multiple sites. Again, going back to the idea of trying to accumulate mileage, sometimes I've found that I will look at the sites such as Expedia, Hotwire, whatever. I'll look at the prices, look at the airlines that they offer, and then go on to the airline's website, and sometimes I've actually beaten the price by going directly to the airline versus using what's supposed to be a travel website.
Plus, for us, we've had problems before that we have to change the date or cancel something. We've noticed that if I buy the ticket directly, let's say if I go to United.com and I bought the ticket at United.com, it's easier for me to do the changes in case, I'm saying, in the future, rather than if we bought it on Expedia or Kayak or one of these websites, it's always impossible to do the change.
Plus, you have to pay whoever the third party is, you have to pay them a fee to change and the airline a fee to
So
change.
what we try to do now is just go directly to the airline and buy the ticket directly to them. Because it's been already, because of travel, because of work and always family, we've had to change the dates for a week or a month, and buying the ticket directly through the website of the company, and it's easier because you talk directly to them, and then, I mean, you still have to pay a fee, but it's not as
less.
It's a lot less than if I would have gone to Expedia.
Awesome. And those are good. That's also fantastic information. When I don't usually have to reschedule. I do my very best to plan as best as I can, but as you know, the best laid plans of mice and men. And in tourism, that's one of the things you have to deal with. You know, it's like things just happen, and you just have to roll with it. I know you guys probably have 1,000 stories, and that's actually my little mini segue into our next section about little stories that we like to have. I want to tell everybody a quick story about what happened to me last year on the way going into New York. We were in, I had a group, an adult group. We were going into New York City. We were leaving our hotel in the morning from New Jersey. We stayed in New Jersey and drove into Manhattan. Excuse me. And we were on the coach. Everything was going great. I was making all my announcements saying, here, we're going to do this today and this, and really just talking. All of a sudden, bam! I mean, just like a shotgun. And I know you guys have had this happen at least once. A bird slammed into the windshield of the coach. I mean, it was a shotgun. It was ridiculous. The people in the back jumped, and they were all the way in the back of the coach. The driver, he woke up because, you know, he was taking his normal nap on the way in. But it did. It scared everybody, and it did not break the windshield, which we were shocked. It did a little crack, and the windshield was fine. It was not anything that was going to be screwed up for forever. So they just replaced it when they got back, and it was ridiculous. But that was just one of my little stories of you just got to roll with it. And we just kind of made a joke of, well, did anybody see the suicide note on that bird?
Right. We actually had that happen to us once, and the bird, Dante Day. The bird was, I guess he was dusty or something, but there was actually a bird-shaped shadow on the front of the window after he hit us, and that was there for about 4 hours because we were out on the highway. There wasn't any way for the driver to clean the bus.
Don't you love that when that kind of
stuff? It's just like on the side of the bus.
Don't get me laughing too hard.
Yeah.
Now, those are the stories that, again, the one you heard the story about getting screwed up in Alaska. Do you guys have what's one of your favorite stories? I'm going to let you tell it for a minute because I have to step away from the camera. So take a few minutes and tell us your favorite story.
You mean something that's kind of like a folly?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know why I was thinking about this a little bit earlier. I don't know if it's my favorite story, but for some reason it's the one that came up. I had a group that we were traveling from Washington D.C. to from New York to Philadelphia to Washington D.C. And apparently I'm underwater right now. Not stop. So we were on the Jersey Turnpike, and something happened, and one of our tires went flat. One of our tires went flat. So we were still able to drive because, of course, it's not a car. A motor coach can still drive, even with one tire missing. But the driver started looking for a place to change the tire and eventually got a hold of a trucking company that was able to do it for us. Well, it's freezing cold, and we pull off of the highway. We get into this town. No idea where we are, just know that we're in New Jersey. Turns out we were in Freehold, New Jersey, which some people may have heard of before. And the guy behind the counter said, "Do you know where you are?" No. "Well, you're in Freehold, which is the hometown of Bruce Springsteen." So all of a sudden, everybody got really excited, and we all treated it as though it were an extra part of the tour. The library in Freehold was donated, part of the money was donated by Carnegie. So they had a beautiful library. They had a nice little children's room, so we took the kids in there. The lady at the general store gave them a little tour. I don't know what she did. She gave them some information about the town. And in the library, there was actually Bruce Springsteen's favorite chair. People went for ice cream. So it actually turned out to be a really fun experience for a flat tire.
Isn't that amazing how those things can happen when you're on tour? I mean, the
Those are the days
weirdest
you
little
get
things
lucky.
make, yeah, it's an adventure. Every tour is an adventure. Everything can happen differently, and it's a different experience, even on the exact same schedule.
Exactly.
That's what I love. Now, another thing I really, really, really want to talk about. I don't have a good segue into this. Still working on my segues. I'm still kind of new at this whole hosting thing. I want to talk a little bit about prepping for a tour as a tour manager, and I know you guys know this one too, and I want to talk about the differences when someone preps. You know, a tour manager, basically our job is to take people on vacation. Everybody thinks, oh my God, that's the best job ever. Well, they're right. It is the best job ever. But it is a job, and we do have to do things, and we have to make things work. For instance, with adult tours, it's a lot more difficult to get everything together, because with adult tours, you have a lot more to do. You have to entertain the guests. You have to maybe grab some movies. You have to, if it's a coach tour completely and you're not flying anywhere, you have to entertain the guests anywhere up to, you know, a day or 4 days while on a coach, depending on how far you're going on that coach. And you have to come up with things to do, whether it's playing a game, playing a movie, entertaining, having them sing, whatever. I mean, most times having them sing doesn't work.
No.
And then you have your prep for a student tour. I love doing student tours because the prep for those are very, very easy. Basically, you have to confirm all the places you go to. You know, you got to talk to all the restaurants, talk to all the hotels, depending on how many you're staying at, and you have to do that also for an adult tour. But you're not in charge of entertaining on a student tour. People ask me, what do I do on a student tour? I like to tell them, well, I don't get to do discipline, so basically I'm everybody's favorite uncle.
Right.
Yeah.
I tell people I'm like a camp counselor.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what have you seen as far as the differences in prepping for tours? I mean, does that pretty much sum it up, or is there something different that you guys do?
Hang on, I'll show you.
Well, I agree. She went to get something, but I agree. I prefer the student tours than adult tours sometimes. You tell a group of kids, guys, I want everybody here at 3 o'clock, and you know pretty much at 3 o'clock all the kids will be there. You tell a group of adults, I want let's meet here at 3 o'clock. Half of them will show up there at 2:30, complain for half an hour why we're not leaving, and the other will show up between 3 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then everybody complains why we're late.
Just to give you an example with the student tours, because I have my iPhone, I will have tour companies email me the schedule, the itinerary. Of course, they tend to send tour packages, whether it has money in it or it has the itinerary, it has the rooming list, whatever information. But most of the time on my day-to-day running of a tour, I just walk around with a picture of the itinerary, my phone, and my wallet, and that's all that I need. I'm ready to run the tour. Maybe I need whatever money is necessary or whatever checks are necessary to run the tour.
Or basically just us, our jacket,
But to give you an idea, this, as thick as it is, you can tell it's actually wider than my hand. This is my tour binder for my adult tours in New England. So it really does kind of give you an idea of just how much different running an adult tour is to running a student tour, and it is chock full of information. So yeah, I have instructional, not instructional, but educational videos about sites that we're going to, maybe handouts that I give them. Kids aren't as interested in handouts. Adults love maps. They love any kind of information you can put in their hands, anything that's tangible. Obviously, what you're going to say to an adult is going to be different from how you're going to approach the kids. I think adults still like some of the question and answer time, but you don't want to do it in a patronizing way. Whereas with the kids, you want to be as interactive as possible so they don't either start talking amongst themselves or fall asleep. So it is definitely a completely different animal dealing with adult tours and student tours.
I agree, and you just brought up a really good a pet peeve of mine about when you're talking to adults in a non-patronizing fashion. I have not encountered this type of person before, but I've heard about the tour guide that talks down to adults, like seniors, 80, 90 years old, and saying, now you shouldn't do that, and maybe we should do this, and like that, and they talk to them like they're 3.
Right.
Adults don't like that. Even seniors, they deserve the respect. They've made it 80, 90 years. Come on.
Exactly.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
If they're on a tour, they have their faculties amongst themselves most of the time. Sometimes they're a little wacky. I got some great stories on some wacky people. I mean, I've had a 93-year-old lady running circles around people on a coach.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lady. I've had her on 2 tours now. She's, I think, 80, 85. We went to Frankenmuth, and we were in Frankenmuth, Michigan, which is a big. It was Oktoberfest, so it's a big beer fest. They're like the only. Yeah, it's the only sanctioned Oktoberfest in the U.S.
Huh.
She had me polka dancing for 3 hours straight, and I was dead after 5 minutes.
And she was still going.
Yeah. Oh, she was. She. Oh my God. And I talked to her later. She works out like 4 times a week.
Wow.
I'm like, you're making me feel old.
I think one of my sweeter stories from my New England tours, I had a gentleman in his 80s. He is kind of between early and set Alzheimer's. So he is starting to lose his memory. His wife booked the trip for them because during World War II, his family actually sent him to live with a family in New England. Apparently this was popular at the time to get the children out of harm's way in England. If the families had money, they were sending them over to America to basically sort of exchange with American kids. I don't think the Americans were necessarily going over. But anyway, she had gotten in contact with this family, and some of the family actually came out, met him on tour, and they were trying to take him around to some of the areas to see how much he remembered. And there were certain places that they went where he stopped and told them stories about when he was a child over there. That was really, really nice.
Those are the best kind of tours. I love it when stuff like that happens, because it's just that's to me, it's almost like a life-changing event to me, because to see someone remember something so critical back in their history.
Exactly.
And you get to share it with them. You get that's the
and the whole group got to share it, because they were they came to a meal with us, and everybody was interested to see, is he going to remember something? Is he going to remember something? And he did. So.
He became the tour.
A little bit.
That's okay. If they're okay with it, what's the problem with that?
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah.
So I think I don't know if you guys have anything else that you desperately need to say about this stuff. We'll talk about a little bit more about your websites in just a moment, but we're going to kind of start wrapping things up. We've got all of 3 viewers, and I think 2 of them are us. But
well, 2 things I just want to say really quickly, because I actually bothered to go look them up. Saturday, don't forget to change your clocks. If you haven't already been seeing it everywhere, make sure you change your clocks, spring forward. And the other thing is, for tour guides, if you are coming to Washington, D.C., and actually even for regular tourists, if you're coming to Washington, D.C. this spring, apparently the National Archives are not going to be extending hours this year. That was due to federal budget cuts.
So it will close at 5:30.
30.
She's got the time down. So that's good to know. Yeah, don't forget the time zone change. Or the time zone change? Oh, my God.
Time change. Yeah, time change.
Well, the Holocaust has time tickets. So if you come here and you haven't made the reservation online, you will have to go in the morning and make a line to get your tickets. But that doesn't guarantee that you're going to, once you get your tickets, there'll be time tickets. You might be in line for half an hour, and then when you get your tickets, let's say it's 10 o'clock in the morning, you'll get 2 o'clock tickets, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Just know that you cannot enter the museum before 2 o'clock.
And also know that they have changed the policy this year. So if you have 2 o'clock tickets, you used to be able to enter anytime after the time on your ticket. You are now restricted to 30 minutes of your ticket time. You must be in the elevator inside of the door within 30 minutes of your ticket time at the Holocaust Museum.
Yeah, we just found out.
Wow. We found that out the hard way.
Oh, you found it the hard way.
And enjoy DC this year, because the dome. Take your pictures now, because the dome, the Capitol Dome, will be covered
for 2 years.
For about 2 years. They haven't done any restorations in the dome. I read since 1960. So there's about 1,000 cracks in the dome. and it will be covered for 2 years. So if you're looking for that picture, perfect picture, I don't know exactly when they're going to start.
Starting in April, I think it is.
So just enjoy before April.
Yeah.
Although we actually enjoyed the scaffolding that had the Washington Monument because they had pretty cool lights on it. And,
yeah, they lit it up. It looked really cool.
It looked really nice.
Hopefully
so,
they will do the same thing on that.
It should be open before July, before Independence, they said.
Okay, cool.
Oh, yay. I don't think I'm going to D.C. Oh, yes, I am going to be in D.C. this year at the end of April. So I'll be there.
Be around. Let us know.
I will. I'll be with my group of Australian quilters.
Oh, fun!
21-day tour throughout the U.S. I was requested by them. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's going to be a heck of a tour. The group leader I had last year. They were a lot of fun. But we do need to close up because this is getting to be we're at 45 minutes now.
Nice.
What I want to do is I want to mention if there are people out there that would like to see more of the Travel News Report live and make it possible for me to do this again, because as Dante and Lorna can attest to, it takes a lot of work to put this together. We have to do a lot of research. I have to get them and bother them, get schedules working together so that we can actually get online and do this at a good time for everybody. It just takes a lot of time and effort to do. So if you want to help support this, you can go to patreon.com. There's a link below in the description of the YouTube channel, and you can help support the channel. Also, you can just subscribe. That'd be fantastic if you subscribe to my channel. And just so you know, on something I didn't even mention at all during this whole thing, I have a New York City trip that I'm planning on doing. Well, I'm doing, and it will be in June. And if you click the link below, I'll put it in the description, you can sign up today to join that tour. And it's one of these kinds of tours I'm doing where you can explore New York on your own and you can make this trip your own. It's kind of combining solo travel with group travel. You get the flexibility of being a solo traveler, but you get the advantages of group discounts and everything else by traveling with us in a group. So that's all I've got to say. Now, Lorna, Dante, do you have any closing remarks?
Well, 50 would really love it if you came to visit him in Italy.
And you have a vacation house called
Casa 50.
Casa 50, and it's CasaFifty.com.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you go to www.casafifty.com, casa50.com, 50 already has a bedroom waiting for you. There, if you log on, you'll see pictures of how the apartment is set up. It has its own kitchen, its own parking, everything included, an actual bathroom with a shower and a bath and laundry. So come and visit us and let us show you what the Dolomites in northern Italy have to offer.
Awesome. I appreciate it. And by the way, guys, thank you very, very much for joining me on this. I really, Dante and Lorna, you guys were great. I would love to have you again in the future, maybe after the tour season is over.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Thank you, too.
No. You've been waiting to do that, haven't you?
I have.
You've been pretty good. I'm surprised. You didn't use the noises very much. Or
No.
No. It was
fun. But anyway, to everybody else, thank you for watching, and safe travels.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.